Hey guys, and welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys coming by the channel and checking it out. And guys, today we're going to be talking about the first time of year, or as far as, earliest, when they first start biting a squarebill crankbait in the springtime of the year. A lot of people, at the time of filming this video, it's the first week of March. A lot of people are thinking like wiggle warts and rock crawlers and flat-sided crankbaits are good. But guys, we are right on the precipice, like where the squarebill crankbait starts to come into play. And I'll tell you one thing about a squarebill, guys, when they first start getting on it, like a lot of times before a lot of people start throwing it, this is when you can catch the biggest fish on it. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to lay out the ideal set of circumstances when bass first start biting a squarebill crankbait in early spring, because I definitely think it's going to add up to some good fish for you guys. Man, probably the average size fish I catch on a squarebill under these conditions is a 3 or 4 pounder. So really good way to get into some good fishing this time of year. Also, guys, we'll be talking about the Megabass S-Crank today. This is the S-Crank 1.5 we'll be talking about. I love this crankbait, guys, in the early spring. Some of the biggest squarebill bags of bass I've ever caught have came on this exact bait, and I'll put it in my tackle warehouse link in the description of the video if you guys would like to order one. And there's a couple different colors I use. I'll sort of show you the different colors that work good, but definitely check them out in my tackle warehouse link in the description of this video. Okay, every lure category has got a window where it shines as far as where it works really good. And a squarebill crankbait has got a pretty wide window in terms of water temperatures. Not so much water clarities, but water temperatures, because the squarebill is going to work anytime that water temperature is over about 55 degrees. You can catch them on a squarebill crankbait. Doesn't matter if it's March or November or summer. It works all year long as that water temperature is over about 55 degrees. But what happens in the springtime of the year is that water temperature creeps up surprisingly fast. I'll give you an example. Guys, I was down at Table Rock Lake about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and the water temperature was in the upper 40s. I was down there yesterday, water temperature was in the upper 50s. So it can warm up extremely quick. And when that warm up takes place, this is one of the first bait categories that those bigger fish will start hammering, because the fish start moving into position for this bait to reach them. So a couple weeks ago, when that water temperature was 49 degrees, I wasn't even thinking anything about a squarebill crankbait. I was still on the jerk baits and all that type of stuff. But now, since that water temperature has jumped off, this is going to be a big player for me over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So what I want to do is I want to lay out the situations when these things first start working in the springtime of the year and what you need to look for. Now, first of all, let me show you a couple different colors that I like in the Megabass here. If you guys would like, are using that link, you can get some. This, you can't go wrong with this one. This is the blackback chartreuse side. I catch a ton on that if the water is dirty. Like if that water visibility is, say, 12 inches or less, this is the one I use. Another one I use, I catch a bunch on. In fact, the biggest limit I've ever caught in a tournament on a squarebill crankbait was on this exact bait here. This is a blue back, sort of a translucent side, and then any type of a red. So these are the 3 colors that I use pretty much. But there's a lot of different ones. You can just look in that link and see some ones you like. But those are the three primary ones that I like. Okay, now let me lay it out here, what you're looking for. First of all, to catch them on a squarebill, you got to have the right water visibility in correlation with the right water temperature. And like we talked about, mid-50s is ideal. I have caught them on a squarebill crankbait as low as like low 50s, 51, 52 degrees. In fact, that big bag that I was telling you, that biggest bag I ever weighed in, I think the water temperature was 54, 55 degrees when I caught that. Now, a lot of people don't start throwing a squarebill that early because they don't think it runs deep enough. But here's the thing about it. If you have the right water visibility in correlation with that cool water, like in the low to mid 50s, those bigger females are some of the first fish to move up shallow into that water. Now, the S-Crank 1.5 here, guys, I fish it on 12-pound test line this time of year because I want to get it deeper. Sometimes I'll even put a little suspend strip on it to slow the float up. And if I put this thing on 12-pound test line and I make a long cast with it, I can get this thing to hit 6 or 7 foot deep. And that is a perfect range in stained water when that water temperature starts to get into the 50s. Now, sometimes I'm not fishing at that deep. Sometimes I'm catching them 2 or 3 feet deep on it. So it's all relative to the water temperature in correlation with the water visibility. But let me give you the perfect scenario to catch them on this thing early in the year before people start throwing it. Pay close attention to your water gauge, your water temperature gauge. When that water temperature, like I said, first starts getting into the low 50s, start thinking about this thing. And you got to have water visibility that is stained. In order to catch them good on the Squarebill crankbait early, you have got to have water visibilities of less than 2 foot. I want to have water visibilities from about probably, 8 inches or so on up to maybe 1.5 foot. That's my zone for it. In correlation with that, the bigger fish are always going to bite better on a windy, cloudy day. So if you gave me let me give you a perfect scenario, and then I'll talk about some of the parameters around that. Ideal for me would be water temperature 55 degrees, water visibility about 12 inches, about a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, and a cloudy day. If I've got those 4 ingredients, I'm going to catch some big fish on this thing for sure. Now, you can catch them, say if the water visibility is 2 foot, but then it becomes more important to have that wind and cloud. And if it's under 1 foot, say the water's dirty, 6 or 7, 8 inches of visibility, but you still have, some 55-degree water, then you may not want the wind and clouds. Maybe you want the sun and not much wind in order to get the visual on that fish. You're not going to be quite as aggressive in that dirtier water. But another thing that I'm looking for with this, it's all about rock. I like to fish a Squarebill crankbait on wood when the water's hot, like in the 70s and 80s, but in the cool water, to me, it's all about rock. So I'm cranking whatever rock I have available. My favorite type of areas are any type of a channel swing, a steep channel swing bank, steep rocky bank. It could even be a bluffy bank, rocky points, riprap banks, any type of rock. I'm paralleling the banks all the time because in order to catch them on a Squarebill, you got to be hitting the bottom. And in order to hit the bottom with a Squarebill crankbait, since it is a shallower running crankbait, you have got to parallel those banks. You can't cast at a 45-degree angle because your bait's not in the strike zone long enough. So get on those steeper rocky banks and get your boat parallel to the bank based upon how clear the water is, and make a long cast parallel. Keep your rod tip low to the water, just with a medium stop and go retrieve. That's going to be the best way to catch them. And I can promise, guys, when you get that situation that I just talked about, everything lines up right, you can catch some super quality fish on this thing before a lot of people start fishing them. So anyway, guys, give them a try. Like I said, Megabass S-Crank 1.5, my favorite one this time of year. Link in the description of the video and my Tackle Warehouse link, and hope it helps you guys catch some. We'll talk later.